The American way of life, or simply the American way, is this unique lifestyle of the people living in the United States of America. It refers to this nationalistic ethic that adheres to the principle of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And at the center of this American way is the American dream. The idea that upward mobility is achievable to any American through hard work. This concept is intertwined with American exceptionalism, nationalism, and just the unique culture of the nation as a whole. So where do these values come from? Where does this lifestyle come from? And where does this culture come from? The answer is simple. Leading up to the American Revolution, Americans began forming distinctive social, political, and economic foundations which formed the American way of life. I always say that everyone has a story. And while the people that came to America had diverse religious and socioeconomic backgrounds, they did all have one thing in common. They were fleeing something. Some may have been fleeing war, others may have been fleeing religious persecution, and personally, I believe that common ground really created the seeds of America, of the American way of life as well. I would say to a certain extent, these diverse backgrounds with a similar story truly resulted in a number of unprecedented and unparalleled New World manifestations. Those who shared the similar story of I am fleeing religious persecution most likely planted the seeds of religious toleration. Those who share the similar story of I have never had a voice, and anytime I had a voice it was condemned, most likely planted the seeds of freedom of press. Not to mention these diverse backgrounds and stories truly made American citizens global. They made them global citizens. They created a sense of globalization with influence. We talk about how the way of life in America bred independence, but what about life before America? Life before America was one dominated by social classes, social hierarchy, social stigmas, that if you breathe the word independence, you are condemned. It was such a radical idea that it was feared. Did life outside of America, before America, lay the egg that life inside America hatched? Take those that fled England due to no mobility between social classes. They came to America because they valued opportunity. That is something that they valued, and they saw that in America. That is life before America. They had those values before America. They had those wants. That is the egg that is laid. They come to America and they live this way with opportunity and without this extreme, dense social class hierarchy. They live in America, and then the king comes back in and in their eyes threatens this way of life they're used to, as we've discussed in class. In a sense, America, the way of life in America, did hatch the egg that the way of life outside laid. If I'm making any sense at all. No, I am not saying that people came to America with the ideal of freedom, of independence. I am saying they came to America with those preconceived values, ethics, stories, and backgrounds, all which encompass the way Americans think, live, and act today. All which encompass the American dream, the American lifestyle, the American way of life. It's crazy, but if you think about it, America was built on fear. Fear of religious persecution, fear of condemnation, fear of no mobility between social classes, fear of hierarchy, and then later on, fear of death when the American Revolution rolled around. And as weird as this sounds, I do think it's that fear that truly created American values. And after all of that, came the American way of life, the American nation, the American dream. because through fear, we truly valued life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Through fear came hope and came unity.